Read Spider-Man Crawlspace Edition. Check us out at the spidermancrawlspace.com. Well, everyone, it is time to, of course, to review the most latest issue of Amazing Spider-Man with Amazing Spider-Man 20, aka 984, by Joe Kelly and art by John Romita Jr., Paco Diaz, and our good old buddy Todd Nauck here, because this is, we lead to the conclusion here of Norman Osborn as Spider-Man, or as we like to say it, the Battle of the Goblin Slayers. So, how did this issue work here? Because I both like it and have some problems with it. So how do we get into it? Well, let's hit with the pros right away. First of all, I really do like the whole setup here that we actually get the whole thing. First of all, we finally find out the woman's name villain that's been behind the Call to Scrier is known as Alecto, which of course means to force in Slayer, which is a very interesting little one of the terms. And we also find out about, of course, how it got involved with Roderick Kingsley. Originally, he was not involved with little pieces and the cult got in it. But what's also interesting too is we also get some more points that Kingsley, with his little plan, has actually been trying to take out the legacy mission of Norman Osborn, destroying all the goblins, and that's how they have all got together to completely eliminate this too. So it's actually pretty good going into. There's actually some nice little talk here with Roderick Kingsley. I mean, this is about as dark as the character's ever been, and it's actually kind of enjoyable. And I'll get a little bit more to it because there's little cons with that too. But I do like this piece on Roderick Kingsley and some of the pieces to it, as well as kind of the fact that they kind of just entered this into a kind of mutual partnership, even though it wasn't one. But it's kind of like Joe Kelly is trying to bring all the storylines together in a way which is both helping the story but also hurting it. And another thing is too, I also like the fact that May Parker actually goes in, that she actually has been doing something. The last couple issues of everything on, Norman Osborn or Spider-Man back on Earth, not in space, as I feel like Aunt May has all of a sudden started putting in the character. She's not a weak. She wants to confront people. She actually wants to do things. I even like the fact she tells the secretary, tell Norman I am going to see him and you can stick your appointments where the sun don't shine. That's the May Parker I love. That's the May Parker we've been needing for a while too. And I do like the fact we're finally doing it. Also, the fight scenes are actually pretty good. The battle with the Goblin Slayers is actually pretty brutal, how they have been doing this, as well as the fact is we're actually finding out all the ones that are part of this is about all the different people. I found out this is a very good revenge scheme when it ends up bringing up everything from when Norman Osborn was in charge of Hammer, when he was doing the Dark Avengers. This is actually a very good set here with continuity, and the fight scenes are actually very brutal when they're with John Romita Jr. Todd Nauck does some nice jobs too, and then Paco Diaz does some things, but there is some confusing pieces, and I'll talk about that here in the cons in a moment. But one of the things is too is they don't go together very well, and some of the things look incorrectly, especially the cliffhanger, which I'll talk about a little bit. But cons were, what was the point of Janine and Ben Reilly being here? So basically we find out Ben sabotaged Brian's experiment. As we see, he's getting pulled away with thing. He's been exposed, everything, our own supervillain origin, but also the fact that it ignores Dr. Mito's calls and everything. Basically says, you know what, I'm done. I'm not Peter Parker. Yeah, I got the right thing, but I'm just going to leave Rand screwed. I heard his friend here in an experiment for his own supervillain origin. Everybody's going to blame me for screwing up things because everybody thought I was Peter Parker, and then he walks away. So all about his life, all about the memories, apparently it's just done. It feels completely haphazard. It also feels like it's another thing of character assassination with Ben Reilly. The fact that they brought him back, that he basically says, hey, it's screw Peter. I'm going to leave it. I'm going back life. You and me, Janine, let's head out to the parts there. What was the point of all this? It just basically left to Peter's got to suffer. Peter can't do anything. So, Peter's going to get back to Earth and find out that Ben basically blew his job up. Wow. Whoa. Who saw that coming? Wonderful. Anyhow, another thing is Kingsley proves he is very evil because, we find out that it says, we can't just get rid of all the different goblins and all the legacy where they want it to. I somehow purged the goblin formula. When did that happen? And you can understand some issues, but the fact is that's what he's doing. He's basically trying to take out anything legacy of the Goblin. That's why he went after the Queen Goblin, why he went after Ned Leeds, why he went after Phil Urich. And then he says, we got to kill his children and his grandchildren. What? And the fact is, Echo says, wait a minute, I did not agree to that. And the fact that the Call to Scrier says, you know what, we don't like your run, lady. We're going to join with Roderick. And Roderick's like, hold my beer. I'm going to show you how evil I can be. Roderick Kingsley is very destructive, I think, but this does feel like he's crossed a line. I mean, I've never seen him this dark. I get who he is, but I feel like Joe Kelly pushed him a little too far on this too, even though we have seen Norman do some of the things and affect Crohn's. Another thing also is a problem too is we have the whole spider society. There's too many spiders in here. This feels like a Marvel team up book. Even the same thing is, oh look, here's once again Captain Kintsugi. Who is he? Why does he look like Why is he trying to look like a marble version? You know, marble as in the granite of Captain America. What's his origin? He's been around because of Hellgate, which Hellgate's got to stop making Fetch Haven. This makes no sense. And like I said, the art doesn't bleed together very well either, too. It looks very confused, especially the cliffhanger where Norman Osborn gets stabbed by one of the goblin slayers, and it looks like, you know, Ghost Spider, Gwen Stacy, stabs him, and then she's going, oh, somebody, we have a Spider-Man down. It's actually an enjoyable issue, but some of the artwork, some of the little pieces here, the Ben Reilly issue really hurts the issue. The best I can give this is a B- because the truth is, it feels like the stories were all making sense and everything, but it feels like it's a big middle finger to everybody with Ben Reilly was basically there just to screw up Peter's life, blow it up. Hey, we saw it, but it also feels like this is all rushed. It feels like we got to get Peter back to Earth. We've got to get all this thing with Norman Osborn. We have to get the job and everything done because we got this big Carnage Venom storyline coming up in 2 months, and we need to make it happen. It feels like there was a longer story here and a piece here. The artwork works very well in some areas, but it's then confusing in other. Like I said here, right here with this little part here, if you've seen the panels before that, it looks like Gwen picked up the Goblin Slayer knife and stabbed Norman with it when apparently it was a remote piece. It's really weird and it doesn't work very well. But the rest of the issue, from the whole thing with Norman Osborn's characterization, the fact we actually find out what the whole Call of the Scar, who, you know, Alecto, who of course we finally find out who she is, well, not her full identity, but at least her identity thing, and also how it's kind of bringing all the storylines a little bit together. But it feels like in the last year they were like, hey, Joe, you got to get the storylines finished, and then we need to move on. It feels like it's kind of rushed, and it feels like problems of it. As much as I did love the stuff with Norman Osborn and him as Spider-Man was really cool, and even everything that's happened, and the fact that, like you said, he's like, you will not hurt my children, you will not hurt my grandchildren. It works as a really nice little piece on that, which I do like, but it does feel just so rushed. So it's not a bad issue. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit, even the artwork, even though there were some fluid issues too. But I do feel like we're just trying to rush to get this over, to get the Venom Carnage crossover storyline started here in about a month. So that's not much else I have to say with that, everybody else. So if you've enjoyed this and everything, please check us out at the SpidermanCrawlspace.com. You can check us on our various social media, as well as check out our podcasts and live shows and everything else from everywhere from Instagram to YouTube and Discord. And for more, everybody, please check us out and like and subscribe to this channel for the latest reviews and everything. And I want to thank everybody for here for 2025 and now into 2026. I hope to see everybody on more Reads, and I'll see everybody later on the Crawl Space.